Hey everybody, it's the Shape here, and I want to give you a little extra video because the other videos done so well, and I appreciate it. Y'all smash that like button just like you're going to do right now. Go ahead and hit it. I'll wait. Go ahead. Airplane. Thank you. Now, you can comment too. Okay? Let's go. First off, I'd like to thank my Patreons right here. Okay, now my channel is all about paranormal, and one thing I've always been fascinated with is strange stories, scary stories that are true, and like true crime and things like that, and especially when it comes to like the missing 411 and strange disappearances, because they're unsolved. And what happened? Now, the first case that I would really like to get into would be Michael Palmer, age 15. Spent the night with a few of his friends at a sleepover, and one night they slipped away to go to a graduation party, and that's where it all began. It was on June 4th, 1999. He was 15 years old. Him and his buddies took off on their bicycles to this house party. The place they went to, I think, is Wazilia. It's like 50 miles northeast of Anchorage, and that's where the party was taking place. And they're taking their bicycles. That's where they're going. Now, Mike's friends say that, well, he did drink a few beers, but he wasn't intoxicated. I can see that. I mean, what kid wouldn't, right? Now, they were 9 miles away from the house they were staying at, and Mike's friends said that Mike and them all took off at the same time, headed home on their bicycles. But as they were riding their bicycles that night, well, early that morning, they pulled over at a 7-Eleven because apparently Mike had fell behind on his bicycle. So they pulled over there, his friends, to wait on him. Now, his friends got ahead of him, so they pulled over at a 7-Eleven to wait on him because he fell behind. You know, it's early in the morning. And they pulled over and waited, and he never came along, so they assumed that he rode toward his own house. So they went on home. But being as Mike's parents, the next following afternoon, that afternoon, noticed he wasn't home, so she calls the police house to say, you know, hey, is my son there? And they're like, well, we thought he was coming home last night. And that's when the search started. Now, 11 hours after the kid went missing, after Mike went missing, that's when it was reported. Now, the bicycle was found in the Little Lastina River, I think that's the name of it. Not sure. Or a bike like it. They're not 100% sure for some reason if it was his or not. Now, a couple of 100 yards from that little river was an airstrip, and on the other side of that airstrip was like the neck of the woods, and they found his shoes just sitting there like they'd been placed. But keep in mind, this kid has never been found. Now, Michael's brother Chris thinks that the bicycle they found in the river was not Michael's. So, you know, that's saying that. And Mike's father was skeptical of what his buddies, Mike's friends, had said, what happened that night. He was always skeptical of what they said. So, there's that. Mike's father hired 2 private investigators to look, and one investigator got run clean out of town. She had to move because of death threats, which that really don't make sense. And some people think that Michael never left the party that he could have been kidnapped, murdered, maybe by other students. And that's something else you could probably look at and say, well, it's possible. But keep in mind, none of these are substantiated. Period. A couple months later, however, a local boy said that he saw Michael get shot and killed on a bridge. But of course, that's never been verified either. Then some would think that Michael fell into the river and died of hypothermia, which is possible, but why would you not be able to find the body? And the dogs were unable to track his scent to the river, which is strange as well. Tracker dogs are no joke. They got a nose for, no pun intended, but that, I mean, they got a very, very keen, sharp sense of smell, whether it be a cadaver dog or a search dog. Michael's brother also had heard rumors that there were a bunch of fights at this party and something could have happened to his brother, and that's a big possibility for sure. This case remains, I mean, Michael's own father thinks that, well, he's dead, but the case remains open, and that's good. I mean, these cases need to be solved just like any other. Now, in Katina, Alaska, I think it is, Chucky Palmer went snowmobiling with a few people. That would be this guy named Chucky Palmer, his brother, Chris, stepfather, and a couple of others went as well on this trip. They just really basically planned on spending a few days in a cabin and riding their snowmobiles through the woods. Unfortunately, Chris, his snowmobile, the handlebars snapped, so he was forced to stay behind. He was a more experienced snowmobiler, while his brother Chucky, his younger brother, was not so much experienced. Now, according to the group, Chucky was really looking forward to riding his snowmobile, you know, just riding it. I guess learning how to ride it, getting used to it, just to have fun in general. And everything seemed good until they turned to go back to the cabin. Had fun that day, turned to go back to the cabin. And like all other cases, point of separation. He fell behind on the snowmobile on the way back. The last to see him said he was turned the opposite direction of the cabin, going the opposite way. Why they didn't chase after him, nobody knows. When you read the case, though, you're not automatically leaning toward foul play because, I mean, what would anybody have to gain? That's his family. But weirder things have happened. But let's keep going. Now, Chucky was dressed appropriately for the cold weather. However, he didn't have a GPS, and he didn't have food or water because they hadn't planned on being out that long. Now, Chucky was not reported missing until the following morning, and by then a snowstorm had done moved in and hampered the investigation from the get-go, which was bad from the get-go. And his snowmobile was found in deep snow, loose snow, about 12 miles from the cabin. So that's not good either. State trooper said that he must have gone off the side of a trail and just simply got stuck. Some of them, sure, yeah, of course. But I can't buy that completely because, I mean, literally not one print was found. Now keep in mind, he's the last in line, same as Michael, and they didn't even know he was falling behind until they turned and seen him going the wrong direction. Last in line and never showed up. Just like Michael, Chucky done the same. And it's not like they all took off and left him and he just couldn't keep up and got disorientated or whatever, because the fact of the matter is, even if you do lose sight of them, you're in snow, so you're going to be able to follow the snowmobile track. Now, a fire chief said he could not think of no reason for this abduction except for aliens. The guy simply disappeared off the face of the earth. I think that's precedent, but you never know. In May 2010, once the snow had melted, they searched for Chucky again, but they ended up with the same results, which is horrible. Now, this guy was 30 years old when he disappeared. And unfortunately, stop moving. Unfortunately, he left behind $3. Now, you're probably thinking, well, those are certainly strange, but I mean, that happens more often than you would think. And what makes these stand out more than a lot of the other cases? Okay, that's fair. Now, what if I told you, yes, these are bizarre disappearances, but what if I told you these two were brothers, blood brothers? Changes things, huh? Yeah, these guys were brothers. Chucky was the older brother. They disappeared roughly 11 years apart over a decade under strange circumstances. It boggled my mind when I found it out. I mean, it's bad enough somebody disappears strange like that, just one person. Imagine 2, 10. And now let's even imagine worse. Imagine the parents, what they just double the suffering of not being able to find their loved ones. Guys, I hope you like this bonus video. I appreciate everything you guys do for me. Hit that like button, share this video with everybody you know. You know the drill. And comment, all of you, everybody, just comment. Make sure the notification bell's turned on.